So go ahead and connect audio. Make sure you can hear me like she can. You hear it coming out of the receiver? Yep. So what was it you?
I'm not hearing you.
Okay. Oh, I can hear you. Somebody around you's in.
So,
I would like for you to put your name so I can take attendance, but it doesn't have to be your email. I mean, if you put like Sarah Lazard or something, I may have to come up with who are you. But as long as I can kind of figure it out, it'll show up in the WebEx log and I'll know you're there. Same link the whole semester. In fact, I don't really know why I created 3 different meetings for 3 different days. I should have created a meeting 3 days a week. Which is right down here. So if you're asked for a meeting number, you can do that. The password is bonus. Did you get it? Make sure you get on your work.
Tengo.
Help out Fred if they're not able to do that. So we can.
Me? It's me. Sorry that I have tape on my camera. I have a question. Is it starting 6:30 of the semester? Only
And 9:30.
Three hours is impossible.
Thank you.
We don't.
It is. Okay.
So, most of the time, people are out. Okay, another thing I'll point out is take out your phone and add your contact, and that's my phone. I can watch WhatsApp. If you need to read during this message, that's the way to do it. And it's my real phone number, so be careful. That's my actual number. I didn't do so far. No one has drunk sex texting me yet. Obviously a U.S. number. I probably present both in Spanish. So they ask me to teach the class in English, but if you have a question, most of the time students text me in Spanish. And you take a picture of whatever, if you have questions about the homework or whatever. That's fine, I'll understand you. But I don't that has to be the journal. Probably we can understand what okay. We've already gone through a couple of the slides, but not this one. So this is our book. And this person has written probably the most technically accurate book on TC2022. There are certain books that are much cheaper, all the way down to the implementation, but they're not organized as textbooks. And there are lots of networking books that include TC2022, obviously all of them, but I don't know in depth. So what you might read is the regular TC2022 textbook. It's not intended like the second class. So we will start with the same stuff that 2018 did. We'll just go faster after people are caught up. So we'll go more depth. Okay? Free and that PDF is really available on. And I'm not going to sale, so that's like and I'm sure you will have no problem. there's the URL for the lectures. Here's one for our playlist, but that's also on Blackboard. So we can do that. Once we leave, the MP4 gets uploaded. And you'll see it by first thing next morning, next week, but there's also a Dropbox folder for almost everything in the class. All of our slides, now, all of the articles, all of our simulators, the current lab assignments, emails that I have. I don't have all of them because I'm not running the lab. Whatever I can have here in the So what do we use Blackboard for? We use Blackboard to turn in your homework. So it doesn't all go into one shared folder. So we will be every homework assigned in Blackboard every day, and I will always give you an email. If you don't see an email, there is no. If you see it on there, email, you don't have to do it. If I forget to send an email, you're good. So no other email. Why? Because sometimes we tell you that I think I will have to work out tonight, and then you'll start looking, and I don't want you doing it. I'll send you an email. Alright? So have that out and so the exam for 2014 homework set of the last 13 last 2 years. The exams are not given at the so this is like every courses. The final will expect you to turn everything back to the first. I can so networking this hour is one I know to go along. So we'll know the folks that we learned, but I'm just not going to back to a clear from out there to get you to okay? So hopefully that will make the course more manageable, especially so every semester I completely secure the partial and final exam. So every no matter how hard I try, every semester so I'm just going to put a copy of the university stuff and the red arrow is where we are. So those are the first article, second article, and the line. Okay? Questions on any of that? All right. Last and case, if you are not understanding something and it seems like you can either stop, or you can turn to your neighbor and start a conversation and perfectly okay. I have no problem with that. I will assume that you're talking about something that's more important, like trying to understand. Sometimes I don't think that, and everybody's like, yeah, I didn't understand that. So we know we'll go over it. So that's okay. I realize everybody has the same level of literacy. So hopefully you can get better in English though. There is I try to write my homework every semester. So the teachers are very good. You will find mistakes in every homework. So if you look at the homework as soon as it's released, you will be the first one on making typing. That means next week, picture, when you have any audio, whatever, and I'll probably stop them and I fix it right immediately. So if you wait until 90 minutes to do the homework like I always do, then you benefit from fewer types of issues by writing. I do try very hard not to but because I think will be problem. sometimes I'll give you the problem and solution. Okay, you do really well. Number 6, I'll solve that's a problem. I gave him a solution, put it in one of the and of course I don't catch it. Everybody makes a point on that. That's okay if that happens. All right, all of these procedures, like I said, homework, Blackboard. You can determine homework after the due date. Blackboard was marked and late, but it won't prevent you from turning it in. I also configure Blackboard to try and make sure you have multiple attempts to turn a homework in, so turn it in. You go to dinner, you talk to somebody, you realize you screwed up on number 3, and option, go back to 16 to turn it in. You find the key, check it, because Blackboard runs unmet. They work around with the things for you. They have that. So try to keep them as possible. The homework are always up to date. So you can't just pull us on okay, so here's the stuff at the bottom. Very sweet department policy being enforced. It's not like maybe. Okay, so I'll put it in there. That's more than a little bit late. I will take it more than 100, it's 25%. That's what you should expect. Here's who I am. Got my degree tonight. Work with discussing DMT. I have a home here and a home in Houston. So that's Trump. This is really very difficult to get ID to okay, what's in looking at? So that's what I call chapter 0. We're ready to dive into the critical. If I look at you, what I assume you are, okay? So what we're going to try to do is give a little more history, and because I've been around for a while, and I've worked with a number of people who were involved at the very beginning of the internet, not at the beginning, but they were around, and I've come to work with them later, and I've got a little bit of stuff to add. Also, the history of the work that has changed significantly in the last year and a half, as people who have been silent for all these years published things like the schedule of presentations at an earlier conference that proved that the NCO was on stage before Bob and all of us not the earlier. So things like that, the politics that had to be are so high because the states are so small. So, and we'll talk about standard organizations here in a minute. So you guys know what networks are, and internet network is one that are connected that communicate. So you talk about uppercase I, this internet here, then we're talking about a collection of networks where the users all agree to conform to the same set of standards, particularly TCP/IP. So that's what uppercase I represents. And we're kind of taking that. If you use the I at every side, it should be the lowercase I, or the other way around. And you keep the station. Fun experience. You can internet or lowercase I. I'll walk around okay. There are a number of organizations that were involved in this forming the internet, most notably the United States Military. So the history is actually, as our odd technology of the mentioned, came out of the United States during the Cold War. They are all related to Russia. And if I can find my article data, let's see if I can find what you so here it is. One of the papers that for a long time was believed to be the So this is a paper that's prepared for the United States Air Force. And they were dealing with technologies which at the time looked like this. Everybody had a computer kernel, but it was connected to some sort of a long-distance telephone line back to some other part of the country where there was one box that sat in the middle and controlled all the communication between the parties. If the box went away, no one could talk to anyone. No one anywhere else in the network could get to any of those devices. If the line went down, which was, that had been expression to that, where you also lost connectivity. There was no redundancy built in. At the time, the technology was prominent, primarily idea. The focus was on reliability. There's a big difference between reliability and redundancy. No matter how reliable a jet engine, are any of you willing to get on a Boeing 737 or Boeing? So what this had was a lot of information, but no redundancy. So if the Russians dropped a nuclear weapon and took out parts of this infrastructure, how were the missiles supposed to launch the missiles back at Russia? That was exactly the motivating factor behind the internet. So this paper that Paul Barron wrote introduced a couple of really key concepts, and we'll mention them in a couple of these other slides. So I'm sharing my screen instead of sharing the WebEx. So three things happened in parallel. We've been involved for a long time. So what Paul Barron did was write a proposal with two really key innovations. First of all, he broke stream of information that is basically your table and your terminal all the way back and forth. And no one else is on it unless you share it. So, both sides do talking. But they think that's where this person is solved. So there was no need for anything like that or announcements for the key. So if you're going to try to build some sort of infrastructure where you can switch how you get information to someone else, then you need to let them know that it's you. So what he came up with was an idea of breaking information into chunks, putting it into a data structure. Maybe it's 60 bytes long, maybe it's 80 bytes long, it doesn't really matter. And this data structure, that's what they do with focus one at a time. And in every single one of them, you would have all of the information required, all of the information necessary to forward it to its destination. So there was no need for lookup tables or trying to figure out where it came from. Any device along the way saw this packet show up. They didn't call it a packet at the time, but that's what it was. If they saw the packet, they would know where you were trying to reach. So there's an analogy to this already. The postal system. Every time someone sees an envelope, they can look at the address, they know where to send. It doesn't matter if it's first one or the second one or the 10th. Every envelope has the address. So if you have your information, say you're trying to mail to the book, you share page by page, you just put page in the envelope, and you see are you contacted in the mail, they are dropping it into the mail, because they all get address. So the third innovation about this was, the third innovation was here, which was the switches had the ability to make a pretty good guess about which way to send the packet next. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be the best path. It just has to be, just like the mail system. Your envelope may not take the best way to get it to zero, but it will get to you. they take a plane on, they take a ship on, but it doesn't really matter. If I put all of these cars, and I told us we're all going to go downtown to the telemetry office building, and we all left, we probably wouldn't all take the 6 miles to get to, but we'd all take what we felt like pretty good about. So things are different now. We have Waze. The Waze is this omnipotent being that sees all paths at once, but that doesn't exist. Not even today. In fact, it's less likely today than years ago. There's hundreds of millions of lights. So no router can keep track of everything. Hundreds of millions of lights already. So that's what he did. At the same time, a couple of folks at MIT were doing their thing. Well, of course, MIT was involved in it. Stanford was also involved, as you'll see, people that just like check the box and let you Stanford go and move on. So, Gene Lidbecker of MIT wrote some memos in early 1962 with this concept of tying systems together all over the world, and he later was hired by the Defense Department from MIT to run their advanced research project agency. So he was a scientist, so he helped them figure out the billions of dollars they used in his small problem, like what he was talking about. He could help write the grants and make sure it went to people in the United States that actually knew things about it. So he was handing out money. He was giving out the grants. So he was the head of the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency in Florida, and he was also all the time members of the ARPANET. And while he was at it, this guy, Larry Roberts of MIT, of the importance of this idea. So Larry began working on it. There's another guy involved in here, Pine Rock. He's still around. Actually, has something to do with Cisco and everything. And they put the first thing together and demonstrated. In fact, they actually put two computers, phone lines, but what was important is they were not the same manufacturer, they were not running the same code, they weren't running the same operating system, and they still talked to each other. That was a huge breakthrough. And they did it by writing code, writing programs to sort of simple things that we package and send them across to the other side. So they had to be able to, not know when it's coming, and they had a little protocol and rules on when to take back and forth. But it worked. They also proved the point of the so they led. And then finally, the third thing was at a 1967 ACM conference, a UK group is going to package in a presentation. So they're going to get some credit for doing that. I was also presented in paper on that before he knew anything about these guys or Paul Barron's story. That's what's going to be the only one. That's the very last one. So that's not all the original ones. This is all anybody who tries to kill you, one person kind of did it all. It's never going to happen. That's why no time you typically hear of two different scientists sharing a prize and there's a very lot of it. All right, so that's one biomarker started. Then there's a series of features that you can track to. I have all these and I'll try to put it into the module so you guys want to look through that. And some of these people were not computer scientists, some of these were more social scientists, so you have that idea of connecting people together, not because we have computers talking to each other. But it was this linear concept of online and computer communication. That's what spurred Roberts and all about computing. So it's all history. Architects started off in the United States architects. People quickly learned what it was, and they figured out fast they wanted to be on it. And this is all before like that, or even email, things like that. But this was to share research data, communicate with other professors, so people quickly figured out that it's a much better way of communicating, especially in this, because only people involved in high government organizations can connect. So the only way you can connect to ARPANET is if you have a government grant. Get a grant from the Advanced Research Project. So people started jumping through hoops to get any kind of grant. Many other people will use the grant and most students do research, will take away the PhD, some people might have PhD students, whatever it is to get on ARPANET. I imagine there were fun conversations like that. I made those up. But that's how people got on. So started growing. Eventually, it became commercialized, and you no longer had to have government funding. But in '69, the first full traditional runs, the devices that would look at these packets and decide where they go were what we would call values. They weren't called values at the time. They were called tips. And they ran a predecessor of TCP called Network Control Protocol, but not completely the same. But some of the things it did that TCP wanted to try to solve and packets of different sizes and some other variations of that help make this more useful. So the net server on TCP. But these were basically PCs, and all we had at the time were big computers. We didn't have PCs that didn't have. So these were expensive computers, and they had very little power. These computers did. And people had to come up with the money to put these things in the middle. You would have to give us some of your grant money to buy a computer that you were not going to be able to control. So that was the only key to get people to do it. So what they agreed upon was the bare minimum. Very simplest protocol that would run the slowest cheapest computer that would just barely implement these things. No bells and whistles, no prioritization, and that's still the way it works today. So it's a little regrettable because the internet still is the lowest common denominator. You can't do anything like prioritization. It will not, it doesn't share packets get lost. It won't resend packets. It will send them out of order. It will duplicate them. And it doesn't it's not even designed to deal with anything of that. So we have to write programs and allocate the money in to add all of that stuff. That's what TCP does. And it doesn't run. It doesn't run IP, it stops. They don't run TCP. So that's the decision they made because they didn't want to get out of much money or you share things. So that's the history of it. They found a company that put these PCs together, these many computers together, and they started adding them, and eventually they decided to use specialized hardware to do it. Somebody in Stanford figured out that, you know, you're probably going to get more hardware or something, so they started moving the whole system. And then we moved to more markets as well. So the Wacom and the circle that we realized I had to take to work with the students were different packet sizes on different packet connections with different transmission rates, and they needed a machine of traffic getting in and sending it out. So they designed a more so here's some really diagrams. This is the very first two, then the first four that they built, then that was something like this. There's the standalone hardware, the labs, the TVs, et cetera. We got a little bit bigger. I went here. That was TIAs. That was a MIT spin-off called Aerial Corporation. I did one of them. And then it just became really I remember these things because it was government contracting, so they were money up. And I remember these things and I had to go over stuff like that. So that's when they pulled them out. I tried to write it to the link. But if we got to the point where it was ridiculous, we added initialize London, over here to the right, and you do hydrated, and, you know, since you could just might as well just throw it. So we've progressed there, we have a highly hierarchical that has local access networks and people to the local ISP, and they connect to a large one that exchanges traffic and a region of the world. And they exchange traffic with it. Back on the non-straight tree, so when I mean by that, we're not talking about is something else, like backup provider, and they're connected together, and they connect to tier 2s, and the tier 2s only connect to the tier 1s, and maybe they connect more than one tier 1, but they don't ever connect to each other because they're tier 2s, and then the tier 3, you know, they connect places as well, but they never connect. That's not at all the way it's going. So you have backup providers, and if they're big enough, you can connect directly to that, like Google. Yes.
How are they connecting the nodes back then? I mean, what kind of physical cable would they use?
They're using exactly the same cable they use today. Copper wire, they didn't have wires, very basic technology. It's a important question because there's very poor understanding on computer science about exactly what's going on here. So we'll spend a little bit of time today even to talk about exactly that. So you'll back to that. So if you're getting connected, if you're regional network, you may connect to tier 1s in a few places, you may connect with some of these other big institutions, and you may not even connect yourself to each other, you may go through someone else. So it's every kind of combination you can imagine. One of the most important types of elements on this diagram are these maps. You guys know what those are? How about IXCs? Has anybody run into that acronym before? So NAPs and IXCs are run by companies who set up a neutral turf outside of the company building, where everybody can come together and exchange traffic with each other. What most companies in the world allow you to do is to know this. Get the idea? Keep natural mesh circuits on everyone. They're like, that's what they want you to do. But that's not making money. It's extremely inefficient. The problem is, if I'm on the notice and I'm already here, some of my packets need to go to all these places. So, who's helping you if you need connections to thousands of locations? It's just impossible to get it done. So what happens instead is we will exchange traffic with lots of other providers at these exchange points. So one of the companies that's a big provider in this area is Equinix, and they run the data centers around the world, and you can build a fast connection to them, and lots of other people as well. All the big backup providers are present in almost all the Equinix locations. And those big backup providers are thousands of providers. So you can get to half a dozen backup networks. You can get to thousands of large regional networks around the world. Very efficient. People can create them on their phone or on their laptop. So it's important that everybody get good connectivity, and they'll build it in a building like this. So the reason I have them like that is one of the things that's been on in this measure is looking at some of the infrastructure. And it's always constrained, but then when you start something out, it's sort of applicable. So this is a data center in Los Angeles where lots of these people meet. So what do you know about this data center? What do you know about this building here?
Much larger.
Oh, this one's small.
It's rectangular instead
It's
of.
rectangular. Okay. What about around the building? Do you see anything around it? What do you see there? What do you see here?
Parking lots.
What do you see here?
No cars.
Okay, what about the you see a few. Why is parking lot so small? Or the humans so big?
Because it doesn't.
Why are there no cars down here? Maybe it's a hospital building or someone else. Exactly. It's not only for people, it's a building for you. What other things do you know about buildings? If you take a beautiful people, what do you have for? So you know there's a lot of electricity being consumed as well because you come over here and look. I can't really tell what's happening with this pole. Unless I come down here, but if I can do that. I don't get the pole much, but I can still see the shadows. So there's a lot of power around the building. Right on there's also generators here, and there's construction going on. So it looks like you might be standing, and this business is growing, so that's another kind of giveaway sign. So that's a sign that a lot of industry has. That's a sign that you need something else to do. The last thing I find in a building like this is connected to the outside world. So I'm looking for cable covers, and I'm looking for fiber on one pole. So see all this? You get this together in your commercial parking lot? They're all over the freaking place. They're all over the total overkill for any kind of business you could ever imagine. So this is where communication providers from all over the world are running fiber into this building. They can connect. So you can get good at looking at these things. What do you see in the street about this building?
No windows. No windows.
Very few, if any. Why is that?
Where there's no need.
Or are they nervous about people knowing where this is, or are they totally okay, like my contact pretty good time? So their customers are very nervous that people know where this is. So one thing you'll notice is nowhere, anywhere on this building, there's even a sign that says you have to take it in. It just doesn't exist. There's a number here, and that's it. Even if you go to the parking lot, you can go to the right thing, and then you get out today. Where there's nothing in there. Not all these things are there, like something that's the name of the front door, small, much than the parking lot. So it's one of the things people do is necessarily teaching guys how to learn a little bit more about the infrastructure. They make all of this work because important economic development information. So there are 150 people in the United States. People build in really interesting areas. I had a customer that built one in downtown St. Louis. St. Louis is a very old city in the United States. It's where a lot of the exploration of the Western United States began. And it's been around since the Jefferson administration. So they have a bunch of old business downtown. And they're also my neighbors in the Missouri River. So they would carve ice out in the winter in these big blocks and haul them on a wagon and put them in these giant warehouses with huge big wooden walls and see them. And they would put the ice in the elevators and the voices out. And then people could bring things to them that needed to be refrigerated during summer, and they make when you want to find your response, and the beginning of your example, people would have all the recommendations inside of the room, and all over one, they would know that they would know the decision that was drive around town and sell you a lot of life of your response to your health purposes. If it wasn't like a way refrigeration, that's the way refrigeration works. Mexico doesn't have multiple lines to have done this. But a lot of the world, a lot of the world, so fast forward 100 years, now you have this empty building that's old, and the walls are super huge and thick, and it's just like right in the middle of downtown. It's got a couple of basements and like 5 or 6 or 8 floors above it. And it turns out it's a perfect place to build maybe a little antique, maybe a hip version of one of these escape rooms. One of the things that made it really good was infrastructure follows the people. You don't build lines where there are no people. You don't build roads where there are people. So when you go 100, 150, 200 years ago, all of that stuff is what we now have downtown. So all the roads, all the telegraphs, all the railroads, all the lines, all the things. So these guys chose building downtown St. Louis. People recognized that at first, and they figured out every communication provider, every railroad provider, every infrastructure is straight to that block. So the cost for them to bring providers and money. So sometimes people get really smart and entrepreneurial, and they outsource money to a miner. And they build something. This is like what they do, but they don't know. They don't know how to do that. All right. Back to the slide. So those are internet exchange points or network access points. Mexico got its first one a couple more years ago. Way behind. Now they have one. But they're really important because what that basically meant was Mexico couldn't exchange data people in the region without depending on an outside third-party network provider. They had to haul it back to the United States and back or Brazil and back or everybody had to be on the same network. They were on the same network, but that's not the case anymore. So now we see how there's a lot of investment from things like Railroad in the last 2 years, high-capacity fiber circuit from Monterrey to California. Dramatically improving Mexico's connectivity to the market. That's the kind of investment the Mexican government needs to see to improve the country's business, just small countries where they don't have good enough infrastructure. We don't have any single on this. They're all the Mexican government issued because they want to buy services on Microsoft Azure. They have laws that prevent investors from sending Mexican data outside the country. Well, that's what they can. The security centers are all here in Mexico and Rio. So, different people, you guys see lots of changes. And the government is trying to encourage that type of investment. We actually have some things that most other countries don't have are huge benefits. So you guys have your right. So one of the advantages of that is you only have to go to one place to get access to the transmission line over here, one time. So the way these utilities work is CFP like they own the land under nature. They own the land of the tower system. So they have the legal permission, which is a concept called right of way, borrow no. So if you have right of way, it means that if anybody wants to cross that land, they have to get first. When you buy a home, they have to be in a position to So this right of way is extremely valuable because it's a little strip of land. It's not very wide, it's maybe a few feet wide, but it goes all over the country. Where every system that has electricity. Every last one. So if you are the Mexican government and you'd like to see someone who can compete with telephone to build a cellular network, one of the things you promise someone is I can give you immediate access to fiber to every citizen in the country. So you don't have to worry about how you're going to get land, build towers, or where you want to get the towers to run the fiber to connect all the towers together. As long as it's close to the electric line, I got you covered. So that's where the billions of dollars to the Mexican government. They don't get that. They rent it. So they have a bid a couple of years ago asking you all for proposals. How much would you pay to give you access to run infrastructure all over the country on this side? So they have companies that bid billions of dollars, including Alabama and so what they'll do is come in and run fiber everywhere in the lines. They'll build communications infrastructure, because they do it all around the world anyway, they know exactly what to build. They will erect towers, they'll put cell radios on them, and then they'll go to someone like AT&T and say, also need $1 billion minutes a month for a case of OH each. And AT&T will say, what would you like? Because what AT&T wants is access as quickly as possible to as many citizens as possible on their own airwaves. So that's why cell plans are crazy in the last year and a half. You know this? You don't start with text messages anymore. Remember when you had? Remember when every minute you got charged? Remember every phone call you did all the United States was super distance? Remember you could do data on your phone? That was something we got better. It's because the telephone got into real competition. And I was joking with a guy that worked with the CEO of my boss at AT&T. We had a lunch a couple of years ago. We're like, can't believe this. I mean, we've been on the 5 years with the client. We've already done all this stuff in the United States. So we have all the deals, all the plans, all the packages, all the promotions. We know exactly what people will buy. We got it all figured out already. All we got to do is just roll it out. So we start rolling out those same things here that we have in the United States. So my phone now, there's no, it's one North American plan. All of my data, all of my minutes, all of that is exactly the same for every year. I can use my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot here and unlimited data because there's no extra charge on the board, just like in the US. It's cheaper for them to do it that way. They try to figure out how to keep two sets of accounts. So the infrastructure that Mexico has will enable you to much more rapidly take, hundreds of millions of dollars a year away from those providers and put them back into the economy. They go to the economy and providers as well. So Mexico has been very smart about doing some of the stuff that is a huge advantage over countries that have really done. So it's not all bad news that we just got per se. So that's the most important part of the background diagram like this one. They're also called Tier 1 ISPs, but there's no legal definition or anything like that. But there's some interesting stuff about it. One of the things that we show you is a website that will help you understand exactly how hard you connected to this. So is your ISP directly connected to Tier 1 or are you like 5 miles away? Well, this is something that's normally very hard to figure out. But this site, Creator.net, they have a website that will do that as soon as it gets around to doing it. So I'm asking you to help me understand how well our domain name is connected to Tier 1. So here we are down here. If you guys remember from 2018 learning about OSPF, BGP, you have these administrative areas of networks called autonomous systems or PX numbers. You're going to do totally blank things, so maybe you heard that. So I'm not going to That's what that number is. It's one number that represents all tech. So if you would be connected, we have two connections to tier one, Alestra and UNED. You can go out in the parking lot right here and turn right, and we'll explain what it is in there's one on that side of the institutional hall. And then we have one from UNED. They in turn connect people like TC2022, which is a Japanese company for the aerial spread, and level 3. So we have pretty good kind of people. If you connect with, if you look at someone else in here, I have to, this isn't one of the accounts I'm going to use. So let's just try, see if it works just that. Okay, good. Well, so here's Amazon. So not surprisingly, like, there's a ton of providers. Well, you would expect that, wouldn't you? Right, so somebody throw me another URL, maybe something in Mexico, the P University, I can do mine. We can do mine, you would do that.
But I have a question. For example, in Amazon, they're connected to, like, do all of them have to necessarily be different ISPs? Or
They can be different codes or something, but that's not very wide.
because if it,
Even though physically they're separated, if you decide you're going to update your router tonight, the latest version of Cisco software has a bug, you're going to have all of this. And that happens many times. All of the CI went down, all of the AV went down. So people like this trying to figure out how they should do the whole thing at once. You know, they figure that out. So Amazon doesn't do that.
different.
So here's the university system. They have two connections. One is Metropolitan Fiber Networks, which became part of RCI, which became part of Verizon. And then Baylor College of Medicine. That here because they have a connection to a very high-speed internet to backbone by West. So there's a bunch of other people up here. So they might have an ISP going over to educational institutions. So sort of graph, sort of what they gain a little bit of knowledge about how connected you are, what's going on. All right. I'll try to use some problems to help you explore yourself and learn about connectivity. Okay, different, we need to specific on a couple of definitions between protocols and standards. We use the word protocol lots of times, but I want to make sure we understand exactly what it means. So standards are agreed upon set of rules that people agree to be bound by. They can be different. Standards for automobiles, or standards for roads, striking, or standards for electrical wiring, or standards for computer things. But they're standards for automobiles as well. Some standards are, most of the time they are, I'm trying to use words that are not 3,000 words, but promulgated institutes. So they're usually sponsored by and promoted by organizations that are not commercial. You can get in trouble if you are trying to promote a standard and you try to keep people out and only let certain people in. You can get sued and sometimes for antitrust monopoly. So standards are a safe place to keep track of things people agree upon because there are laws to keep people served. The standard agencies that use in our level, there's a bunch, but they include things like the International Telecommunications Union that agree on we're going to run cable across the ocean, we're going to plug cable equipment, and we at least agree on the voltage and the thickness of the cable and all of those kinds of details. So an ITU standard will govern it. If you want to rent a piece of equipment, you can order it in the usual form, which ITU G732. You can say yes, and okay. So that's one thing that they do. On the internet, they also have organizations that govern the protocols as well. So with the internet, when you want to have a standard, then you propose in a document, an RFP, it becomes an internet contract. You need to have some idea that it's a good idea and people are waiting for it and opposed for it for these seasons. You can't just surprise bring it on. So usually people understand the problem from these IED conferences, and they will find people in the industry that are good at it, and they will ask you try to put together proposals. Can you solve this problem? We'll give you some funding, we'll assign people to help, but by next summer, you can figure out a draft that we can consider how we want to do the recommendation. So they'll get some people together from various companies, and they'll start writing it, and they'll give you their influence to try to get people to support it. So when it shows up to be voted on, it's not a surprise to anyone. And lots of people are, yes, I think we should do this. Because you take 2 tries in 6 months, and if it doesn't happen, it's dead forever. So that's what's showing here. If the people agree to make it a proposed standard, then it becomes a draft standard. Once it's a draft standard, then you have 4 months and 2 tries to get a larger percentage of the organization to vote on it. And if they all agree, then it becomes binding. And so there's various layers of internet standards. Some of them are required, which means everybody must implement the recommendation. It is not optional. So it may be a standard that governs buffer management and routing. So all the routing manufacturers will have to. It may be a standard on email formats. So all the email authors like Mozilla and Gmail and Outlook all have to change this stuff. It can be software, it can be hardware, it can be in the operating system, it can be in the application, it can be anything on the internet. But this is the group that sets those standards. Some standards are recommended, like for example, when you receive an email message at your server, you're running simple mail transfer protocol. Let's say this is text email server, and all text users are over here. And it connects to the internet, and there's another server at Danone, and they also have an email server. And arriving one day at the back of your email server is a message that claims to be from Pablo at unam.edu.net. So recommended might be a standard that says, before you accept that email, even though you're going to get after the right syntax and everything the SMTP protocol perfect, before you leave, go to DNS, that's your DNS, the DNS database, and that's your name server, and then ask the DNS database what the IP address of the SMTP server for and see if the IP address matches the machine that is sending you this packet. If it doesn't match, drop it. Because it's a problem. So if you ever send an email, you got to reply saying it doesn't look like that this email is coming from a machine that should be sent an email of this name. It can happen all the time when you try to get lots of different email accounts or something, maybe you don't have access to all of them, or maybe you don't have access to all of them, it can happen. You'll get those kinds of messages. So that's a recommendation standard for example. Another standard might be if you want to deploy IPv6 because you want to support web addressing, here's how we recommend. So I'll give you an exercise to find one of each of these types. So we have around. So protocols are sometimes what the standard is about. Standard is about one of the things that I standard about is the absolute change of information between 2 points. And when you write something to define how that works, that's a unique protocol. So protocols deal with things like syntax and order and sequence. So they deal with things like timing as well. That's exactly the definition or protocol that we saw last year. So when the president of Mexico goes to visit the Queen of Italy, there is a protocol that he must rehearse. a specialist standing next to him that has memorized forwards and backwards to make sure you do things in exactly the right order, so you don't miss it, you don't have to do that, say, get there. So, do a little different. So I just tell you guys a story. We have an employee at Cisco who, I think, has something change in his life, maybe got a divorce in his life. But he did on a contract for us, we were looking for someone to go work with the web lab at the mobile library, freaking enormous, and to help run the network here. And so he agreed to move to Mexico and do that. So he was trying to get away from something. And the contract renewed for a second year. He didn't speak a word of Spanish, nothing when he got there. By the time he came out, he was fluent, you can imagine. But he was fluent in factory worker Spanish, not in professional Spanish. So a very good job, he loved job at the United States Embassy on the Santa Department in Mexico. And he comes into the meeting, and he's trying to introduce himself to everyone. Because that's how you read it. I think it's like part of Mexican culture. I think I decided they didn't like say, what are you doing? They were very cool about it. Good news. Everyone in the industry speaks English. You can write your English yet. Let's just use English. But so there are protocols in all forms of social interaction on the internet. So the one I've been talking about the most, I know what you see on this page, on the next slide. IT field was supposed to be electronics, so like the kind of cable for what kinds of cables were they using? IT specifically against the voltages, the frequency, and then all technical details about the cables. So some good the power, the percentage, power, the molecule, etc. And these an organization, the national standards, national super standards, technology. You guys have heard of them, they manage like computer seconds and the degree. What do you think I'm going to see if I go to this side? See? Same thing you see if you're going to the government side. Usually allow some government. What about the Federal Communication Commission? So they redirect me to this page. Last, every place you go, every government is what's like this. So it's tough to sort of have a work problem that requires going into the database. What we kind of do is there are some databases that are still up that they use them for money. I don't know how they're still up. Maybe they're on a contractor's computer, so they've got to turn it off. Then you can't really stop the government. A lot of inertia. So, that's what they they're very active on college campuses. So that's the electrical engineers and the joint. We don't have competition between the computer science and the also I hired you to get into that now. We're going to do all my whole career. You know, I should be practicing teaching, not what I is one of them. I'm teaching it's all in the picture. All the way do a lot of other stuff. Okay. You can find RCs by visually now. These are really telling you the cracking that we have to be doing for them. So, you get two managers primarily came out of academia. Well, you know, that's looking at that dynamic relationship. All cannabis and things. But there are some key things. The most prominent of which is the Internet Society. And Vincer, who wrote up TCP, is the president the address on IP. So someone told me on today that he gave an hour-long talk. You were in my
I saw the recording.
this summer on via Skype. And they recorded it. So I want to hopefully we'll see it. That's a nice, but he's been really sobering talk lately. You can Google the stuff he's talking about. I think he has what you might call regrets, or he's really grave concern over how the internet is doing. So he has a spokesman for the internet trying to tell people appreciate the art that it's kind of turning towards the dark side a little bit, and we need to rethink how we manage there are also some parts of the organization. The other sign really keeps track of all the numbers, keeps track of all the names. There are nicks in most collections of countries in the world. There is a network information center now for Latin America. You guys know it? Have you been to it? Called LACNIC. And we now have 2 million IP addresses available. In my first semester at Tech, 3 years ago, that number was 0. That's a problem. That means we can't get out IPv4 addresses anyone else. No ribbon. That's a huge issue for the companies that really like coming here and then not having any network access. So, what do you think? There are new IPv4 addresses. You guys know that last year. They were all let out years ago. So, where did you come up with when they have really good addresses? Last year was half a million, and then the next one was a million. Now it's 2.5. What are we doing to get ideas made available again? We're all trying to learn how to work. You guys think back to 2018, the class ending, and tell me what you think. What could be doing as a manager of this region of the world, right, is to get people to give up on the business and get them back to the assignment.
As IPv6,
As IPv6, actually went from 0% to 0.5% in the last year. What else? Remember the non-related politics and religion. So when you hear about any reason why you would give that back.
So like buying ones that aren't really used, like buying IP addresses from.
So what is the rent on your apartment? What would you do?
Change it for
If you didn't want to move somewhere else, you wanted to stay there, what would you do? Rent one part. So make it too much. That's also what we do. There's a couple that are a little necessary. One of the things you do is audit your use of your IP address. That has to be regulated with well-known things. This is new. All of them have to be validated. So they enter zero. So the rules of the Internet Society require that you not sit on IP and not use it. So they can very easily track how often their IP is used. That's cool. You don't even have to let them figure it out. And if they find it, they can impose an audit clause on your contract, very 63, and make sure that. There's a nicer way of getting people to agree to give almost all of your IP addresses back. Do you guys remember that? You know what it stands for? In other words, it's well, network address translation. is where you use private IP addresses inside your network. You can change one or very small and for public IP addresses on your web application. So if I have my IP address on my computer right now, connected to Ethernet and on campus, am I going to have a public or a private IP address? My computer thinks I have a private computer. 10 addresses are one of the private. If I go to a website like watchmyip.org, it's out on the internet. The only way for that packet to arrive at that website I'm about to go to is if I change that private address, so that private address is not on the internet will drop by the first route. So if I go and I look, this is my IP address is 131.178.201.53. So my IP address is now at the edge of the text from 10.whatever to this. And now my connection's over. It's probably being instantly by someone else. So that's also got some security benefits. People who can have private IP address, they can get reach your private address. It's a problem by all times. So there's some security benefits. So you have other and click on that, you can get back to a situation where around a couple of million ideas. So this is black. Let's find out who they are. They were born in Little Eye. They become one. They've grown to 33 countries now. And if we want to find who the founders are, I don't know. I'm still in here in the mode. Tech was a founder of this. That's what I was trying to get you. It's in here somewhere. Yeah. I'm sure you're not surprised. Tech helped found this one. Okay, back to where we were. So this. All right, so this is the org structure, the IETF, basically this whole thing that blue over here. Have you guys heard of the IETF before? So it's the Internet Engineering Task Force. They get most of the work done. They have hundreds, if not thousands of members. The way I really like to describe to you what the IETF is to show you their website. How can I spell it right? How do you spell IETF? If we can find it. So you'll notice a picture here with lots and lots of nerds who feel right at home. There's also quite a few women, which didn't look like this 25 years ago, so you are making progress. They had a hackathon in Bangkok. They had a meeting in Prague, and one in Montreal. So that's getting to sound really interesting. Let's look at some of the past meetings they've had. They had them in Quebec, London, Singapore, Chicago, Seoul, Berlin, Buenos Aires, Yokohama, Dallas, Honolulu. Okay, anybody interested yet? So they have these meetings around the world, so you can either travel to them if you're a big shot, or wait for it to come to your part of the world. They try very hard to get input, and they're hosted by Ericsson and ICANN and Google and Roque and Blackneck was the one hosted here, and that was just last 2016, a couple of years ago. So these are where you have big congresses. There's like 1,000 people in this picture, maybe. And it's worth, if you ever get the chance to volunteer for one, if you're still a student here, or help out. They are a nonprofit, and they are what make all of this still work. They tackle the hard problems. So there's industry, there's government, there's scientists, and there's other interested parties that participate. And your next one is the last one, San Diego. That one is the So that's the Internet Engineering Task Force. And they basically tackle everything from routing to applications to security. You've got related groups, you guys have seen this stuff before. So we have a little bit left to go over. Let me see in the next section what we can spend now. If you guys will hang with me for, say, 30 more minutes, we can leave. Because as the week goes on, you guys will find this. My lectures get faster as the week goes on. So this is the third time I've given this one this week. So it's already shorter than it was for the other two because I'm getting good at it. Remembering the points I wanted to make and stuff like that. So we really are not going to have a problem getting out of here even with that early stuff. One of the things I wanted to show you, though, talk a little bit about second time. So we can either take a break or we just plow through the 30 more minutes and get out of here. What do you want to do? Plow through? Anybody want to take a break? So what we can do is you guys can step out and take a break if you want, but we'll keep going. So go use the restroom, we're going to make water and come back, and we'll continue on. And if you have regrets when you get back, you can always listen to it. All right? Okay, so one of the things we're going to talk a little bit about is spectrum management. I have not talked about this chart to you tonight before, right? I'm not losing my mind. Okay, so this is kind of laughable to me because this is a venture capital site, and this guy is like amazed at this chart, the breathtaking complexity of wireless spectrum. Well, maybe breathtaking to you, but I think you're the last one to know. So you got to be careful when you say, like, look what I found. And everybody's like, yeah, that's been out there before. This has been out there before. But what this shows is something very important to understanding what kinds of protocol development we're going to be able to do in the future, because this governs what we're going to be able to get done in wireless. So I happen to have a copy of this chart that I carry with me. Oh, am I kidding? I call that my trusted note. Here is the frequency spectrum chart for the United States. It looks a whole lot like the frequency spectrum chart for Mexico. Right setup. They made theirs more square, but very similar. They all look like this. So this is what a country puts forward to help people understand how the frequencies are, the radio frequencies are supposed to be used in that country. And they've got a lot of flexibility to do it the way they want. And there's a lot of stuff where they agree by treaty to do it the same way as everyone else. So when you look at a chart like this, it helps to look at one that's actually a PDF version so I can zoom in on it. That was a dramatic article. And you see all these colors on this chart. So we can look over here at the legend, and we try to help you understand what this is for by kind of color coding these things. Everyone does that. And this has been around, assigning these frequencies has been around for over 100 years. But in the beginning, most of these frequencies weren't used. They were open. Businesses started to figure out a way to make money using radio frequencies, using the RF spectrum. So they began to approach government and ask the government to consider giving them exclusive permission to use a certain frequency. So if you had a business idea, you could approach the United States government back in 1909 and ask them for permission. This is like one of these Chinese theater puzzles that will spend the rest of now trying to put this thing back here. I can do it in 5 seconds if I'm not talking, so I'll just wait for the end. They can approach the government and say, I want you to give me exclusive permission to use these frequencies. And the government will say, like, why in the world would I agree to do that? So if you're a business, what kinds of things could you tell a government to convince them to give you exclusive use of frequencies? Remember the top three layers of money. So you can make the government a lot of money. So you see on this chart, there's lots of little boxes, and there's a few really, really big ones. See that one in the second row here? It's not only big, but it's not divided down the middle like most of the other ones are. Some of them are divided into 3 places. So this was obviously given out early on when there wasn't a lot of competition yet. And they got this ridiculously large, huge block of bandwidth, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for something that's that old. So they weren't like building the internet. But what do you suppose it is? What industry do you suppose that big blue box represents?
Radio.
Radio. What kind of radio? In your car, you have 2 kinds of radio, right?
FM.
FM. Which came first, AM or FM? Which sounds better in a thunderstorm? FM. So which do you think came first? The crappy one, AM. So let's zoom in. I just cannot let it go. AM radio was first. But AM radio, as you guys would probably all agree, is really poor quality audio. It's like worse than a telephone call. Very little bandwidth. So why did they need so much spectrum to get, 20 different radio stations on a dial in any given city? Why did they need so much bandwidth to do that? So the first time you took a step from your mom to your dad, did you need a really narrow path, like did you walk on a tightrope, or did you need like a big spot of padded apartment door? Didn't work because you weren't good at it. So the electronics that we were able to build at this time drifted a lot. They weren't accurate. There were no integrated circuits, all resistors. So you may give somebody a license to broadcast at a certain frequency, but you'll find they're broadcasting like all around it because the equipment is not very accurate. And we also wanted the radios to be cheap because we wanted people to buy them. We could build the market out of this thing. So the cheaper you build it, the worse it's going to work. And that's usually the way it works. You buy a cheap car, it's not going to run as well as an expensive car, usually. So we built crappy radios because that kept them cheap. By the time we got to FM, the same number of stations, much better quality, look what happened. We needed much less bandwidth to get it done. We have better electronics. We can enforce tighter rules to keep stations out of each other's footprints. We got smarter about how to encode the signals. We found different ways of encoding one. Well, it was still analog at the time, but it's digital now. Television came along in the meantime, and television was first given a big block for channels, the first channels, and then they were given a smaller block for many more channels, but we got a lot better at transmitting it. So as the electronics improves, you can get more done with less frequency. But it's all given out already. There's no more spectrum. So when the internet came along and wanted to start doing things via wireless, particularly with cell phones, we had a big problem. So there were some big things that happened. One of the things people around the world agreed to was to cease transmission of analog signals for television. Everyone agreed to do it, and everyone had to either get a new TV or get some sort of digital converter box. But it requires everyone to change. Every human being with a television in each of these countries had to change. Why do that? So we could recover a bunch of bandwidth, a bunch of spectrum. Because if it's digital TV, we know how to transmit the same channels in much, much, much less bandwidth. So now all of this stuff is available. Remember the money part I told you about? We always think about money first. When AM radio came along, how did it make the government money? How did it make the government money? There's lots of ways, so you can probably guess a bunch.
mean like interviewing politicians or like getting out announcements from the government?
So they won't pay you for that, but they might be willing to give you the license. One way to, that's a politics layer, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you let me build this infrastructure, then you can talk directly to the voters live. So that's appeal to lots of people. You know, they didn't want the news media filtering their words and interpreting it. They wanted to be able to talk about it. So that's one thing. In the U.S., it was really popular when the Cold War came around because, you know, the president could say it's time to go down into the cellar. The bombs are coming. So that was a real deal. In fact, I'll show you something that will blow you away. If I can find it here. Old car radio 1965. Let's see. I need to find a little better picture than I did last time, but I don't know if I will. What about this one? No, that's German. That's not going to have it. Pontiac might have it. No, wasn't sold in the U.S. It looks like it was. Let me just look for a minute here. Okay, this one was sold in the United States. It doesn't have exactly what I'm looking for on it, but it's not bad. So if I can find another one, I'll go back. We go back. So, and look at this. Okay, this is a radio dial on a car radio. Do you notice anything unusual about it? The dot beside where? 12. Is there another one?
Yes.
Why the 6? What are those? This is a United States only thing. So these are two frequencies which the FCC would not assign to a radio station anywhere in the United States, nor to anybody immediately on either side of it. And the government erected its own radio transmitters, including one that's set on top of a mountain at Fort Collins, Colorado. And there were a few others, and they broadcast AM. One of the things about AM broadcast, and here's one of the in the Rocky Mountains. One of the things about AM broadcast is they bounce off the ionosphere, and they travel around the curvature of the Earth. So what these dots represent were the frequencies that you were supposed to turn your radio to hear emergency messages from the government. If the sirens started going off or if you saw missiles flying overhead. So these were civil defense stations. They usually had a triangle with a circle around it. There were thousands and thousands of buildings in the United States that had shelters, bomb fallout shelters. Let's see if I can find one here on eBay. I'm sure here's one here. You can buy another one. This was on most of the buildings I ever worked in. They had a thing. So if the bombs were coming and the sirens went off and you listened to the radio, you could go find the nearest building with one of those signs and go to the basement and wait until it was over. Nothing's going to be left, okay? But that's what we did to people to make them feel secure. It's like the X-ray machine at the airport. If that makes you feel safer, good for you. But it's not really preventing a whole lot. So this sector management turns out to be very much political as well. Another way you make money on this is by telling them, look, I want a license and I want permission to make money. I'm going to sell commercials to local businesses, and they're going to be able to reach their customers with an audio message while they're driving in their cars, which have become really popular, but also at home. So this plumber who might, not like buying a newspaper ad, I could probably get $30 out of them to pay for a 30-second ad, and there's sales tax on that ad. So every time there's a commercial, the government gets a little bit of money. The land that the tower and the building sits on pays property tax. The income the radio station makes gets taxed. All of the new jobs that got created for people who come and work for this industry, all of their incomes get taxed. The cars that they buy get taxed, and on and on and on. So you can build an industry out of it, and one of the jobs of government is to make good use of natural resources, including radio frequency spectrum, to try and help promote economic development. If your government's doing their job right, they will use this resource to create jobs. So in the case of digital radio, they wanted to take a bunch away. Digital television, they wanted to take a bunch of spectrum away and resell it. Now it's to the point where, for mobile phones, mobile is pink. And where do you see them on this diagram? All over the place. But no big blocks, right? So it came along way later. So why do people seem to want to be around this frequency? Like when the AM came along, why did they choose this frequency instead of things down here? If you look, it goes from 0 to 300 hertz on the first row, 300 to 3 megahertz on the next row, 3 megahertz to 30 megahertz, 30 to so on. So what is it about frequencies down here that make them more attractive? Why didn't they pick this big block up here? I guarantee you it was empty. So how do they want to make radios? They wanted to make them cheap, right? It takes more energy and faster circuitry to generate faster sine waves, higher frequency. So the cheaper stuff was down here. Also, not only was it lower, but it also happened to be a range of frequencies that were good at penetrating things like wood and plaster and glass. And they wanted their signals to penetrate those things because they wanted people to listen to the radio inside their house. You want your cell signal to do the same thing, right? You want to be able to get your cell signal inside of your building. So there's a lot of competition clustered around frequencies that are good at penetrating. Different frequencies bounce off of things versus penetrate different things. Depending on the density of the molecule, the organization of the molecule, some radio waves are really good at going through things. How do you suppose we communicate with submarines at the bottom of the ocean and tell them it's time to launch their missiles? They're using, at the very, very bottom end of this, the very lowest frequencies, because the very lowest frequencies will penetrate the Earth's crust. So on the eastern coast of the United States, at a naval base, there's a mile-long antenna. It's run across a cliff near the beach, and that's the antenna they use to communicate with submarines. So have you ever seen an old-style television antenna? You guys remember what they look like up on people's roofs? They look like this. They had these bars that were different lengths. Why? Because the width of a wave, you have to have a bar that's the width of that signal to pick up that frequency. So if you're going to spread television out, then here, here, and here, you're going to need low, medium, and high frequency bars to catch those signals. Cool, huh? So you get back to this, and you have all this pink all over the place. One of the things you notice is there's none of the pink that's by itself. It's mostly maybe an exception or two, but it looks like it's shared with someone else. So how can you get away with doing that? Well, let's look at a couple of them. A lot of these are shared with fixed wireless communication. So fixed wireless means you look outside our building, I think it's on top of this building at this corner, you will find among a bunch of cellular antennas, you'll find a couple of microwave antennas. And they look like coffee cans. They're round and they point exactly at another location. And they're shaped like that so their beam does not spread out. It stays very narrow and it points only to the companion at the other end. That's a fixed wireless. They're not mobile, they're not moving around, and it's point to point. So if they're using a frequency, you can erect a mobile phone tower and blast signals with the same frequency all over the place. This one is much stronger and it will not be bothered by, and because this one is point to point, it also won't bother you unless somebody just walks right through the signal. It's on top of the building, how's that going to happen? Maybe if you put a phone on your bird and trained it, or a drone, you could certainly. So you can find ways of reusing and relicensing, and so you can sell it twice. The United States government makes billions of dollars a year renting licenses to these frequencies to the cell companies. That's on top of all the taxes we talked about. They auction these off. Say, you want a license to have cell customers in Tulsa, Oklahoma? Are you willing to pay? They have an auction process, and the governments make tons of money off this stuff. Mexico's figuring it out. So there's a lot of economic development. But one of the things I used to do when I worked at AT&T, telecommunications companies pay lots of taxes because they sell products to people who pay every month. You know, you sell someone a car, they pay for it once, that's it. You sell someone a bike or a house, pay for it once. You sell somebody a phone line, they pay for it forever. Month after month after month. Taxes keep rolling in road. So we were usually the biggest single taxpayer in any city or county or state we went to. So when I needed permission from a mayor who was being a butthead to run a fiber on their bridge from one side of their city to the other, and their parks guy didn't want to let us do it, I would call the external affairs officer and say, how much did we pay in taxes last year? Give me an idea of what percentage of their budget that was. What big projects did they have last year? Or an elementary school, what did that elementary school cost? Okay, so you're telling me we paid more than the other. So I go to there and say, you know, we paid for your elementary school last year. That's how you want to treat us? Really? You want us to move our tower to the next county, then we won't pay you rate. The tower, it's wireless, we just move it. No more taxes for you. And they get it pretty quick. Right, so we pay a whole lot of money and we get a lot sometimes in return. So there's tons of lawyers and external affairs officers, they call it, to work with governments when you're in a big utility like that. Because that's how the game is played. Makes sense, right? Okay, so I think, the last thing I need to mention is the antenna. So all these signals are spread out all over the place. The last thing we'll do is, you ever looked inside of an iPhone? You ever seen what's going on? Let's see if we can find one in here. Let's go for images instead. One of the problems we had with iPhones, for goodness sake. One of the things we found over the past few years were much better ways of designing, and nobody's going to have it exposed for me. And a lot of people are like mislisting their images. This one we have a little more. I'll draw it for you instead. Because there are so many different frequencies that make up the cellular spectrum, unless you want to build 100 different phones, and we used to have to build them for like each country and for each technology. What kind of signal are you going to get? You have a GSM signal from your carrier, then you need a GSM phone. Oh, you're going to have a CDMA signal? We need a different phone that has different radios. Your phone has radios in it that broadcast on lots of different frequencies. It has an antenna. Would have to have lots of different antennas, which is a huge space problem. But in the last 10 years, people have figured out how to design what looks like a spiral of flat ribbon cable. Anybody ever seen one like this? And they can pick up lots of different frequencies. That was a massive breakthrough in antenna design. Just like battery design, it helped us miniaturize stuff. So there are still big things that still happen, and that allow us to tolerate having pieces of spectrum all over the place. All right, before we leave, there's one block of spectrum that you guys use every single day, and it's licensed, meaning it's under the control of the government, but they've specifically set it aside in almost every country on Earth so that you don't have to pay anything, and you don't actually have to get a license to use it. But it's used for communicating ones and zeros. And they set it aside for the public domain so everyone can use it. Anyone can build a device that broadcasts and receives using these frequencies, and nobody needs permission. The only catch is it has to be very low power. So it only radiates in a very small area, maybe the size of a large classroom, for example. And you're all using it right now. What is it? In fact, I can see the device in this room. That's collecting all of our signals. What is that? What's the name of the technology you use to reach that? Come on, guys, you have it on every one of your phones and laptops. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is part of the spectrum. It's one that they could license, but the ITU and other organizations got together and the electronics industry said, look, people need wireless networking. So let's invent some devices. What we need are permission to use some frequencies. So there's 20 frequencies inside every Wi-Fi radio modem, including your laptop and phone and everything else. Not all the frequencies can be used in every country. That's why there's a big collection of them. In France, you can't use 19 and 20. I think in Mexico, you can't use 20 because they're being used for other things like the military or the fire department or something like that. So they don't want to take it away from them. But your Wi-Fi modem, the first thing it does is figures out where it is and turns off the frequency that it's not supposed to be using. So you can't connect to it on those. So that's an example of where the best thing to do was to give it away. So think about how much easier it is to use Wi-Fi than to have to drag an Ethernet cable along. It's unthinkable. All right, so we covered chapter 1 today. I won't see you guys again for a week. I'll try to get a homework out. We actually talked about a few things that the other sections didn't. It kind of backfires on me because then I have to kind of remember what I guys about. But I hope this stuff's interesting, and I hope there's stuff that's new, and I hope it's deeper than what you learned in 2018. But we will spend more time looking at public infrastructure stuff because you don't learn it anywhere else. Like spectrum management, it's not in a single networking textbook I've ever seen in my life. And it's super critically important. So you guys could end up, people from tech are the type of people that end up advising the government agency party and going to other investors.